Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Real PG, so we're gonna get right on into it. Please hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're getting up to date content. So, I have been doing a bunch of short form content lately, and especially a majority of it has been the gimme trades, and they've been a small section I've been doing on my page. Yesterday, we did the Sui gimme trade, and we were successful. Today, we did the chainlink gimme trade. So, the way the chainlink gimme trade played out, we opened at $26.25 after a massive run up from about 17.91 where I longed initially. Got short at 26 and a quarter, which is right here. And then we put our stop at $16 or $26.32, which is approximately right above this wick. Okay. So we were able to ride this down during I was making shorts as we came into T1 the first time and said I took 50%. Came back up, I reloaded the gun, came back down, I took 50%, and then we hit the 0.31 fib. And that is generally a level where I will naturally pull the trigger on a long. We did it on Sui yesterday. It worked out beautifully. And I just did it here. And well, Bitcoin decided it was going to take a dump at the same time. And instead of beautifully coming into the 0.31, which most people don't know what the 0.31 fib is. It's not something that's naturally on your Fibonacci chart, something you have to add, and it's not something that I came up with. It's by any means, but it's something I use and have adapted to and helps my trading immensely. Um, so majority of the time, after a big run, a big impulsive move, your first correction will happen, and it will come down to the 0.31 Fibonacci, which is a 31% pullback from the high. So that was this purple line right here. So I pulled the trigger on a long here. Okay, after shorting successfully, knowing I had a target too for my short, I just out of what I normally do, I pulled the trigger when my system says to pull the trigger, and that's at the 0.31. So I closed up the short, I pulled the trigger, and we dumped. And it ended up not being a huge deal because look what's going on now. So we're basically back to the 0.31 already. We're going to see if we get back up there and we make this move and we continue up, or if we're going to come back up a little bit and just roll over and come lower. I don't really see that necessarily, but it's a non-zero chance for sure. So those trade, sorry, those who did take the Chainlink gimme trade cashed out big on both target 1 and target 2. So congrats to those who are watching my shorts. This is going to become a daily channel again. For those of you who don't know who I am, I class of Bitcoin class of 2017, $3,200 was first option I got to buy Bitcoin. Ethereum was under somewhere way under $1,000. I don't remember exactly, and Litecoin was about 60 from what I remember. Dipped all the way down to 26. So I mean, I saw some pretty great prices in the earlier days. Then we had the Rona thing where we got the option back at 5K again, and I was broke, jobless, and was too dumb to put the stimmy in. For those who didn't know, if you put $1,000, so basically half of 1 year stimulus checks in during that time, it would be worth approximately 25 grand right now. So yeah, about that. Those are some mistakes that probably a majority of us made, but let's take a look at Bitcoin, guys. So what's going on with Bitcoin is really interesting right now. So yesterday we formed this ascending triangle, and I was watching for the breakout, waiting to create another CME gap, just knowing it was in the making. So we worked our way through the ascending triangle. We did break out this morning. Target was 118,888. We did not get to the target. we reversed and we just dumped hard. Okay, we dumped right back to the bottom of the triangle. We actually dumped to the bottom of the daily close on Friday. This is Friday's daily close. The reason I have this marked off is because this is where the CME gap will be if we do form a CME gap to either the upside or the downside. This is where the close was. That's 117,325. So right now, it's Bitcoin closes the week in 4 hours and 55 minutes. If we can stay anywhere in this triangle, that would be ideal, because then at 7 p.m. tonight, we could see a fake out down, just a little fake out. Let me draw this out here. We could see, some chop through here, right? And then 7 p.m. tonight comes. This is already tomorrow, but 7 p.m. tonight comes, and we wick down, we fill the gap if there's a gap at all, and we come back in and we break out. We come up to our target at 118,888. So then we have, let me zoom the other way. We have a Bitcoin chart that's starting to look a little bit like it has a shoulder. I'm drawing this terribly. Wow. Stop. Get off my thing. I had this drawn out earlier, and I'm trying to see how I had it drawn now. Because there was inverse head and shoulders in the works as well. They gave us a target in the 120s. Let's go to the 4 hour here. Yeah, the 1 hour. All right. So here it is. So we have a left shoulder here. We have a head. And then I think we just saw this pullback, right? We see a little bit of chop in this range. How do I do this on the camera? We see a little bit of chop in this range here. And then we come back down to fill any gap there is. And then this head and shoulders move, even though it's on an angle like this, measured out would be approximately, depending where it breaks out, the move would take us up to 120, 400, 120, 400 to 120, 600, depending where it breaks out of this inverse head and shoulders, if that is what happens, of course. Now that we had this dip, before I called this in one of my shorts when we were down here, I said when we make this move back up and we break out to the 118.8, we're going to come down and we're going to form, I assumed this would come up to 118.8, and we'd have a nice head and shoulders pattern, and we would have the right shoulder land on the upper slope of this ascending triangle as support, and then we had a real clean head and shoulders. But that's not how it played out. So it played out a little deeper. The shoulder played out a little deeper. The head played out a little more shallow, and it became an angle, a little bit of an angular inverse head and shoulders, which is totally fine. So for Bitcoin now, here's what I would be expecting. Some kind of consolidation for the next 6 hours or so in this range. Ultimately, we touch the 117,325 to fill any gap there is, unless the gap is so small, like $100 thing, that we just neglect it altogether. And we will make our move up to the 118,888 level based on the ascending triangle that we are now back in. The ascending triangle is in this red flat top, and the moving up. So the candles, it's a very crowded chart right now. I'm sorry about that. Let me get rid of some things actually here. You can see where the price action is. We're bottoming out on the RSI. We are bottoming out on the MACD, right? We're starting to see some curvature back up on the MACD here. So this looks like a beautiful bottom for Bitcoin. I would be getting ready to long this. The only hesitation on a long here is the fact that the week is not closed yet, and if we rock it up for some reason right now, if we get out of this head and shoulder, or if we get out of this triangle and the head and shoulders take place now, we got to come back down to fill the gap. So that is the reason I wouldn't get long right now, even though this setup looks absolutely incredible. I think if we zoom it out a little further, 15 minutes, how about to the hourly? So if we look on the hourly, we got room to go down. So on the 15-minute, we're pretty bottomed out. We're pretty damn bottomed out. On the chart, on the RSI, and on the MACD. But on the hourly here, we've got a little bit of room to come down. So we could see a candle. We could see a candle up to the top of this area, come back down and break down. Not likely. Quick wick, back in, just like we did here. Quick wick, back in. Same type of thing to fill the gap. Again, we might be down here in 5 hours. We might be right around here. And the gap might be so negligible, $150, $200, that it may not even be bothered to be filled. So again, not high chance that we'll end in this range on the week in a couple hours, but we'll have to see how this plays out. Another thing I'm kind of seeing short term here is looking the other way. You've got a little bit of a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder to bring us down further. And somewhere on my chart here, I have it marked out. Yep, right here. 116 breaks, could see 108. Okay, I have a lot of reminders to myself on my chart. So this is the current CME bottom. There is no top, so the CME bottom is right here. This is the CME gap, though, this blue. Depending on where we finish the week, currently we're like right here. So the gap is very negligible right now in the scheme of things. If we go to the daily and we look at the CME gap on the scheme of stuff, it's a very tiny gap, but it's probably a need to fill. So if we do come lower, I've seen speculation on 100K, but I think this makes a lot of sense. All the way down to about 100K being the absolute lowest level I would like to see, because we could still see that and keep market structure. If we were to pull back from where we are down to this 100K level, we would just be putting in basically a mildly higher low, kind of like a double bottom almost at this 100K level, making it the absolute floor, and then up and away to the 136 target eventually. After 136, I think it's just a lot of speculation on where we go, how high we could see. But that is a top that I think we can certainly get to, and that is super, super fuddy bearish to say 136K would be the top. But I also want to be realistic, and I'm not sure how everything is going to pan out with Ethereum and with the Bitcoin treasure companies when the bear market comes in. If we see a bear market, does this turn into be some kind of super cycle? Do we see the 4-year cycle play out? All this is going to come into play on how this is going to play out. But from what we see right now, everything is still bullish. We're currently in an ascending triangle pattern with a target higher than we are. We are 4.5 hours away from the weekly close, and we're $300 above the close on Friday. So we are in great shape to leave not much of a gap, if no gap at all. That would be absolutely ideal. I hate CME gaps. I did a short on how much I hate CME gaps as well. They are one of the most annoying things ever. I cannot wait till the ETFs are 24/7. We can eliminate gaps altogether because that is just deficiency in price action and forcing us to go back to, for market makers, one, and for the market itself to be able to test those levels and fill those levels. We can't have gaps and untested levels of price. We need to make sure they can fulfill and be considered fair levels of price at some point in time. So with that being said, there's a couple of things I have seen lately. In the market, oh, don't do this to me. Don't refresh. I had articles pulled up. Really? All right. So basically, there was a thing on Trump buying again a bunch of Ethereum and a bunch of Bitcoin. It was a majority ETH. It was like 8-1 how much ETH he bought over how much Bitcoin he bought. Sailor also bought again, okay, or is about to buy again. So those are a couple things. The ETH thing is what I want to talk about though. So with these ETH inflows getting so high, we have Coinbase. You know, alt season is coming. As September approaches, the transition to a full-scale alt-coin season is likely. Positive Q3 25 outlook stems from macro trends such as potential Fed rate cuts, which we are expecting now a double cut, 0.5% for September. It has an 80% chance to fill now, 80% chance to get a 0.5% cut. That would be pretty big if we are cutting into I don't want to say non-recessionary because all the numbers are recessionary, but extremely recessionary numbers, we should be okay through one cut. Generally, we would top about 60 days after cuts start happening. So if the 4-year cycle was to play out, that kind of lines up perfectly with that September cut. We'd have October, November, and pack it up and go, and that's about your end for your 4-year cycle traditionally. And again, this would be my third, as 2017 was my entry. So they're talking about altcoin season coming. I'm starting to see a shift from the Bitcoin to the Ethereum. We saw that shift happen. ETH is running, almost hit the all-time high. We're at the trend line that has been there for ages at about 4,800. We're just below it now. So we're now seeing a shift into the large caps, stuff like chainlink. Okay, let's look at chainlink. So currently pulling back. I did a short on this today. This was my gimme trade of the day, chainlink, and we had a couple take profit areas. It hit both of them. Yes, it did. Let's go to the chainlink futures chart. And there we go. So this was our trade today. We entered at $26.25 with a stop at $26.33. It was just above the wick, and I had target 1, target 2, and we came right down to it. I longed at the 0.31. Which it says 0.69 because I fibbed it upside down looking for upside here. So it's basically a 31% pullback from the high, and I use that after the first big rally generally. So the first big rally off the bottom, we have a pullback to the 0.31 from the prior high, right? So the prior consolidation level here was basically this order block right here. So that was the low I used for my zero line, and that gets us to this purple line being your 31% pullback. If you want to fib it correctly, it would look something like this. Let's go into the 15 minutes. We would put the bottom to the top, and we got your 0.31 right here. So that was where I had the 0.31 is right here. So it was a little early. It didn't work out this time. We did the same thing with Sui yesterday, and it worked out stunningly, like to the penny. And we got the bounce off Sui, and we're still up. This one fell perfectly, though. We hit both. We could have even had a final target in this range, but we did not. So we got off both targets, and we are now starting to push up a little bit. I don't think it's going to last because we're going to have to come down and fill that gap. Also, after the run Chainlink just made, it's hard to say but I think we're going to see pullback to probably likely this area here in the $24 region, just as there is a little bit, maybe even lower. You could see something maybe down into the $24 region, as there's a lot of support right through here. If you drag this left, you got your lot of support through here. Let's get rid of that. You got support to the wicks. I would say basically anywhere between 2390 and 2470 is a good spot to add back in and get long again. We again could wick down into this area, as there's some real solid support here at 2350. So let's just use 2350 as re-entry into chain links. You have a pretty nice short if you want to short the bull market. I personally don't know how I feel about that. Let's see if we fib out this whole thing. If we fib out this whole run, I longed at 1791 originally. If we fib out this whole thing though, let's see where the 0.31 falls from the bottom here at 1093. The 0.31 is at 2190. Interesting. So let's see if we pull it from this low currently, the current low, 1539, 1540 area. 0.31 is $23. Okay. And if we do it from this candle using this as the low where we started rallying, the 0.31 is $23. So yeah, I think that 2350 area to 2316 would be a worst case scenario on a pullback for Link. Something like that and up. We are going much higher in my belief. I am a heavy holder of Link. I would show you my portfolio right now, but unfortunately, actually, yeah, I can't do that real quick. Let me do this. Come on, man. Let me do this quick. Sorry, bear with me for just a second here. 1, 2. All right. So this is what we've got going on in my portfolio here. The rest is just transaction fee stuff. Solana and Ethereum for transaction fees. This is my portfolio. Bitcoin, and I'm going to tell you the allocation. I wish we could see the allocations actually, but you can't. But I have Bitcoin about 75%. Aerodrome is about 14%. Caspa is about 8%. BitTensor and Sui are both about 4%. Link is about 4%. And then Farcoin is about 1.5%, 2%. So I think that's correct. I wish I had more Link than I did, but I don't. I'm out of money. I recently lost my job as vaping in Wisconsin is going to be illegal come 9/1 or selling of disposables. So lost my job at the vape shop. And now we are just trading crypto for right now. So guess that's everything I got, guys. This is what I'm holding for the bull run, though. As my majority portfolio, these are all incredibly safe plays, I think. At the end of the day, these are all winners. Farcoin these are all going to be sold this cycle outside of Bitcoin, but I think Caspa, Chainlink are going to be here and going to be staples in the future. Caspa is definitely going to be a little bit more of a what if, and depends on the adoption. But Chainlink is not going anywhere, so that bag is going to get built up much, much larger in the bear. I started adding, I believe, at $6 this cycle or something. $6, and then again at $8, and again at $14, and now I'm buying again at 22. I think was my most recent buy. I'm expecting a $100 link this cycle. Worst case, $53. That is where my trade that opened at $17.91. The target is $53. I think that is the lowest Chainlink will go. So if we look at the all-time highs, I don't even know what the link all-time high is. I want to say it's around $50. 52, yeah. That's why I have $53 as my target, because the all-time high is $53.15. We've had all-time high to all-time low on the charts. Even the 1272 gives you $62. Let's see about the 2618, $114. I think a $100 chain link is certainly within the realm of possibilities. So that being said, guys, I'm going to get up out of here. I hope this information was valuable. Please like, subscribe for the algorithm. I am coming back fresh off of a dormant YouTube channel, so I need to rebuild the subscriber base, all of that. So every like, subscribe, comment helps. With that being said, guys, stay bullish. Hang on tight. Apparently altcoin season is coming. Oh, I think I got carried away on a tangent. So real quick, we'll finish this last article. There was also something from Crypto Boss John on Chainlink and how bullish he is on that. So I think that is a big part in also why Chainlink is pumping as hard as it recently is pumping. But let's take a look at this. So this is the USDT dominance. And obviously, the lower the dominance of Tether is, the higher the coins are going to be going. And we are forming a head and shoulders pattern in USDT dominance. So as you can see, breakdown will be massive for alts. And that is very, very true. So we are bordering a lot. If we look at real quick also the total 2 chart. We just got rejected from total 2. So we just had this rejection on total 2 right here. So this is something we have to be careful for, but it's kind of like the Ethereum situation, you know, where we had historic trend line and we got rejected. So total 2 looks a lot like Ethereum right now. And they both are priming, coiling up, ready to kind of turn this into a floor. You know, we might pull back a little further. We might retest the top of this triangle. You know, I really doubt we pull back this far, but we could always see this is always in the realm of things. A pullback, you know, in September, you know, say the rate cut ends up being bearish for us because of the data we are cutting into. We see a pullback, retest the top of the triangle would not be strange at all. And then rocket ship up out of there. So lots of potential for the future here. For this cycle, still there's a lot of upside for those of you who would think that the cycle is a burnout and it's been ass. It's been amazing for Bitcoin. Let's be clear about that. Most likely you were high in alts. Most people were. I was heavier in alts than I should have been early in the cycle. If I would have just gone 100% Bitcoin, I would have done better. I was like 80% Solana early on in the cycle. I own no Solana now. I bought in at $16, got rid of it at $2.40. So I did really well with that trade. And then turned that into Bitcoin. So yeah, I think that's all I got, guys. Keep an eye on the close for the week. Let's get this gap filled if there is one, and then try to get the move up and get the hell up out of this area, get out of the woods, get above the all-time high, and ETH break its all-time high, and we can